Am I on a camera?
If it's the person singing, the vocalist, I tend to focus on them. Yeah, right. You set it where you want.
Good morning. Welcome all y'all who are joining us on Zoom this morning or on live stream. We're just really delighted to have you here. I'm just going to do a little bit of yakking while we get settled and while we get sort of the final adjustments made to the tech stuff, and then we'll get started. Big day for us here at Unity on the North Shore. We are celebrating Reverend Christina Garcia. This will actually be her last day. But that's kind of what we're about this morning. Welcome as you're getting settled in there at home with your Zoom. Get your coffee out. Turn your cameras on if that's comfortable. That always is a beautiful way to kind of increase our sense of connection with y'all. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Suzanne Lamb, who is our platform assistant this morning.
Hello. Good morning. Welcome to Unity on the North Shore Sunday Service. As Reverend Kurt said, I'm Suzanne Lamb. I'm the platform assistant today. Whether you're joining us in the sanctuary or virtually on Zoom today, or watching us later on social media, we're glad you are with us. Today, Reverend Kurt will wrap up our Sunday lesson series titled Necessary Endings. It has been a great series, and I enjoyed it very, very much. I'm sure you did too, and will also. This month, we are deep diving into how to see endings from a spiritual perspective. Tom Richards is our prayer chaplain, and we are blessed to welcome back Felina Bunn and to sing with us, and also with the incredible Dennis Luxion. We are so grateful they are here and to share their amazing gifts and talent. Let's get started now with a prayer. Holy Presence, we know that in God, we can never be separate from love, from truth, from infinite intelligence, and the source of all good. We gather here in this sacred time to open our hearts and minds to the one power and one presence. We gratefully receive the energies of divine light and love pouring in and through us. And we affirm we are here this morning for a divine purpose. We trust that this purpose is now being fulfilled, for we know we are now in the presence of pure being, immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. And so it is. Amen. And now, Felina and Dennis will lead our opening song.
This is one you might know, so join on in. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just what I'm supposed to be. right time. I am just what I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here.
Thank you, Felina and Dennis. Welcome again to Unity on the North Shore. Unity is a positive, practical approach for spiritual living based on the teachings of Jesus and the power of prayer. We believe there is truth and beauty in every spiritual tradition, and so we honor the many paths to the one God. Wherever you are on your journey of faith, please know that you're always welcome here. At Unity on the North Shore, our purpose is to create a safe space where people are empowered to take risks and live their deepest truth. We do this by acting on principles of inclusivity, encouraging creative spiritual exploration, embracing spiritual possibilities, collaborating to create community and personal growth, and living truth principles. If this is your first Sunday with us, we want to extend a loving welcome to you. Upon discovering Unity, many of us were surprised to learn there was a spiritual community that thought and believed the same things as we did. It felt like coming home. And I discovered this church in 1997. And I've been coming here since. We hope your experience this morning is equally powerful and that you will return, like I do. Please complete a guest card in our welcome center in the back so we can further welcome you. Next, Felina and Dennis as they lead us into a group song.
Stand up for this one.
And the words are right up there so you can join in. God of glory, God of power, God of goodness, God of grace, God of wisdom, God of love, God of life transcending time and space, God and me, God and me, God of glory, God of power, God of goodness, God of grace, God of wisdom, God of love, God of life transcending time and space, God in me, God in me, oh God in me, God in me.
Morning. Thank you, Felina and Dennis. Beautiful. Good morning. My name is Tom Richards, and I'm delighted to be serving as prayer chaplain this morning. Let us begin by reflecting together on today's daily word. As I read, allow the words that you hear to become a silent and powerful meditation within you. The daily word for today is balance, and the affirmation is, with God, I live a life of balance. Work can be a fulfilling use of my talents and efforts. I may enjoy the challenge of growing in responsibility and using my ambition to accomplish great things. But if I work too much for too long, my energy might start to wane, and my thinking become dull and uninspired. Likewise, too much leisure time may rob me of motivation and pull me into a spiral of inactivity. Spiritual practices bring precious balance into my life. Through prayer, I touch eternity and feel the presence of God within. Through meditation, I focus my mind and feel calm and grounded. And through speaking affirmations, I claim divine ideas and act on inspiration. In gratitude, I find balance in God, the one presence and one power in my life. From Job chapter 31, verse 6, let me be weighed in the just balance, and let God know my integrity. Now, as we continue to focus on prayer, I invite you to relax, close your eyes, and focus on your breath. Take a gentle, deep breath in. And as we release it, we relax and let go. Let go of any thoughts or stress. As we still our minds and open our hearts, peacefully resting in the presence of divine spirit within. God is present in and around us and our loved ones, right here and right now and always. Let us rest in the silence, holding in prayer yourself and your loved ones, now in the silence. Dear Holy Spirit, the soothing presence of your divine love calms us and brings peace of mind even in these turbulent and yet sacred times. May we affirm in our prayers this morning a vision of comfort and healing for all souls past and present, for the healing of the earth, for social justice, freedom, harmony, and abundance for all. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen. Getting a little feedback here. There you go. I now invite you to request a personal prayer. For those of you who are here in the sanctuary in person, I want to remind you that you can place your written prayer in the prayer boxes in the back of the sanctuary and out in the atrium. For those of you online, you may enter prayer requests in the chat box or use our website prayer link, which will also be posted in the chat box. All prayer requests will be prayed over for 30 days by our prayer team, followed by an additional 30 days of prayer from Silent Unity in Unity Village. Also, now that we are back in the sanctuary, prayer chaplains will be available after the service at the back of the sanctuary. And Olga will be there today, so special day. And now we return to Felina and Dennis for more music. Thank you.
Well, the storm on the ocean is the rain downtown. The sun shines somewhere when the night comes down. The moon still dancing when the sky turns blue. And the love I'm feeling is the loving you. One heart, one mind, one love is with us all the time. One life, one light, one spirit in the world tonight. Well, the clouds weigh heavy in the summer air. The wind shakes autumn to the trees are bare. The snow in December fill this warm blue sea. And the love you're feeling is the love in me. One heart, one mind, one love is with us all the time. One life, one light, one spirit in the world tonight. Find your way, make our peace, accept on faith things we cannot see. Carry on, see this through. One for all and one for me and you. Now the song that I'm singing goes a long way back. It's love, its own engine running down the track. The light in the tunnel comes into view. Says the hope I'm feeling is the hope in you. One heart, one mind, one love is with us all the time. One life, one light, one spirit in the world tonight. Oh, one heart and one mind, one love is with us all the time. One life and one light, one spirit in the world tonight.
Thank you, Felina. Thank you, Dennis. Oh, I can even hear how muffled I am in my own ears. So, lose the mask. So, yeah, this is going to be the last week where we're talking about necessary endings. I actually extended it by a week because the last chapter, it's not even a chapter, it's a conclusion in the book. And what he describes is that these necessary endings are in truth really all about the future. And in some ways it seemed like such a beautiful topic to be bringing to this day when we are celebrating the brilliant future of our own Reverend Christina Garcia as she wraps up her tenure here at Unity on the North Shore and prepares to move with her wife Vero off to Nashville, Tennessee to begin a whole new journey. So it just felt like it was worth extending to talk about how endings are really all about new beginnings. That's really a beautiful piece. I want to review a couple of the themes that got us here in the first place. And the first of those, one of the objectives of Cloud, who wrote the book, Dr. Cloud, who wrote the book, is that we begin to move into a space where we actually normalize endings. For many of us, when we get to the point that there's something in our life that's going to end, we didn't learn really healthy ways to do endings when we grew up. A lot of us grew up in families where it was like, or I don't know, cut off is a really big response, right? It gets uncomfortable enough, you just cut it off and never hear from that person again, or never go back to that job again, or never think about that situation or pattern again. And what really ends up happening is all of the unresolved stuff that surrounds that, we get to face it again in the next ending if we don't sort of change the behavior around that. So many of us in this culture really haven't learned a healthy and a productive and fruitful way to move through endings. So that's kind of what I'll speak to in a little bit, but I just want to sort of touch back on that point that it's really important that we start to accept that endings are a part of life. Endings are, that's what I love about that song that Felina just sang. Like, it's one heart together. It's the beginning and the end are actually a part of a greater whole. That's true of pretty much every dimension in truth, right? Everything that there is a sort of parallel, that's the wrong word, the paradigm, upon which most of the experiences of our lives can sort of be placed. And as long as we're sort of cutting off or not fully acknowledging or not fully aware of some of the dynamics that are driving our behaviors, or some of the dynamics that fuel the beliefs that we hold, unless we truly sort of dig into that and come at it from a higher level of awareness, then we will continue to repeat the same patterns that cause discomfort, that cause pain, and that perpetuate some of the dynamics that really it would do us better in our own hearts to be able to heal those. And also, once we heal those, then we show up as an energy in the planet that brings forth a higher level of consciousness to create greater change. So this business of moving into endings from a much more conscious place of awareness, both about where we might be feeling resistance or about where we want to be in denial about it, that's been a huge part of our sort of exploration this past month. The other piece that I want to sort of touch back on, that as a reminder, if you were here, you'll remember that one of the metaphors that Dr. Cloud uses that I found very helpful in terms of determining, okay, where are the necessary endings in my life? Where are the places that, it might be easier to kind of hang on and just let it flow, but the places that really require some intentionality around them? How do we define those? And the metaphor he used was pruning, specifically pruning roses, because roses are really prolific and they're very, they thrive pretty easily. But without very careful pruning, a lot of the energy of the plant can easily kind of go off on suckers that don't ever have any blooms or aren't really very fruitful. So what Cloud describes is that we're very intentional about the rose bushes of our lives. And we start to look at maybe those behaviors, those attitudes, those thoughts, those relationships, those circumstances that really aren't feeding the very best in us, the stuff that really brings us passion, the stuff that really lights us up. Those are the places we want to make sure that our life energies, our spiritual energies, our emotional energies are really focused. So if you start to look at the places where, that really doesn't feed me, and I notice when I'm engaged in that particular activity or behavior that things don't really go well, there's probably something in there that needs pruning, some belief in the way that I'm showing up for it. It might not actually be ending that relationship or ending that job, but it is certainly digging into whether or not there's something within me that's creating this, or whether this is something that I can really start to respond from in a different way, so that I grow my capacity to really be fruitful in the pruning that I'm doing on the areas of my life, right? So the first is to recognize that that endings are a natural part of our experience. Endings are not necessarily bad. We don't have to resist them. Endings actually are an integral part of how everything on the planet processes, right? Like, we know everything in this material realm ends at some point. Even this, I love the metaphor of at the end of this earthly existence, I put this body aside like an old suit of clothes and my spirit goes on. Everything ends at some point, and it is always marked by another beginning. So that's what we're really going to look at this morning, is how we have a perfect opportunity to move through this ending of Reverend Christina's tenure on staff here at Unity North Shore, to move through that with a fair amount of intentionality. And I'm not saying that we're always going to be able to do these endings in a little ceremony at church in 10 or 15 minutes, but I think this can give us a model for ways in which Dr. Cloud suggests that we really move through the endings of our lives in intentional and fruitful and in ways that really bring about a greater capacity to be the love and expression. And he says he says 3 steps, but they're really just 2 steps. The first step that he suggests is that wherever you are, whatever the circumstances that you're finding yourself in, whether or not you're coming to recognize that, this is one of those spaces where I need to bring an ending to it, continue to bring our very best selves into that circumstance. Continue to be mindful about how you can be a presence of love. Continue to be mindful about how you can come at it from a place of really high level of self-awareness and perspective, so that we're fully investing in all of the gifts that we can bring, all of the gifts that can be sort of reaped out of this ending. right? Very often what happens is we'll stick around in a situation so long that we just lose any enthusiasm. And that can start to turn into, oh God, I hate going into that job anymore. And it turns into resentments. And there are spaces where that's exactly the enemy. That's exactly the energy to begin to push back against, right? That's the energy that needs pruning. When we run into that kind of resistance that is actually inhibiting us from being who we truly are in whatever the circumstance is, that's a hint to sort of bring it forth in a greater way, in a more productive and fruitful and sort of grounded way. So the first is to throw yourself into whatever it is and do the very best that you can in that circumstance, right? And then the second, he said, is to, once you start to recognize that, yep, this is the necessary ending, to also bring your very highest and best to whatever it is that needs to happen to bring about that ending. Yeah? How many, I've thanks to Diane Testa, I got into Ted Lasso, which is this amazing show on Apple Plus. How many have seen it? Familiar with Ted Lasso? Brilliant show. And if you don't know about it, you actually don't have to. There's an app called 10%, and this week they're doing like a 5-week session where they're going to take scenes from this film because Ted Lasso is just a really nice guy. Ted Lasso brings his best to the most stressful situations, and he shows up as sort of a presence of love regardless of what seems to be happening around him. I'll give you just a little capsule. So he's had a great deal of success coaching college football here in the United States, and he gets a job in London, in England, to coach soccer. He knows nothing about the game. American football is his whole context. And in fact, he's hired under sort of mysterious pretenses where the intention is really that he fail, right? So there's an ending there that sort of surrounds him. When Ted Lasso gets to this team, when he starts coaching this team, as happens in a lot of situations where there's new energy brought into a system designed to change it and to switch it around, it becomes really clear that two of the major holders of power, that needs to change. And what we do is we watch Ted move through those changes in ways that are come from a space of such incredible integrity and love that only this really wonderful outcome that no one could have predicted sort of arises. We have that possibility in all of the endings of our lives too, right? As you start to look around, remember how it is that when you have shown up in a space that was really present, so that you could be compassionate to the folks who are involved in whether this decision or this choice or this circumstances you're in. When you can show up as a space of compassion and love and sort of seeing light and highest and best, even if that means the highest and best is in a different place, in a different relationship, in a different job, in a different understanding, when we can be in that space of light, possibilities emerge that none of us really can even be aware of or know fully. Yeah? That's the spiritual dimension. And though Cloud doesn't address that directly, because he's speaking more to a secular audience, it's very clear that he believes it too. Sort of I'm reading between the lines. So anyway, I would encourage you to check out 10%, the app on your phone. It's kind of a meditation app. It's intended to sort of, by shifting 10% of sort of conscious energy into a desire for happiness, that we can really make huge changes in our lives. And this Ted Lasso thing I just happened across on my phone this morning and thought, okay, even if you don't know the show, here's a way to sort of really get an example of how it is that we show up and begin to have a meditative experience around that. It's like 10 or 15 minutes a day for the next 5 days. 10%'s the app. Sign up for the Ted Lasso Challenge. All right, so that's the Ted Lasso piece. So what I'd like to do for us to actually kind of embody this practice that Dr. Cloud suggests of moving through endings in an intentional way, bringing all of we have in our hearts to the process of where we are. I want to do that, and I'm going to ask, Christina's still on the payroll, so I'm putting her to work. She's not speaking necessarily today, but you'll say something, I'm sure, but there's no lesson that she's on the hook to deliver today. But what I'd like to do is we kind of prepare to move through this process, this ending in a healthy way that might be a model for how you will address endings in your own experience, is just move into the space of being really present right now. Reverend Christina has been with us for almost 3 years. My first memory of her is she came through the line. I'd heard of her, from other ministers and from Olga, I know, had some history. I'd heard of her, that this minister that was needing a mentor to finish up her licensure process. And the first time I met her, she actually came through the line as bubbly and effervescent and sparkly and knowing what hers was to do as she typically brings it, right? And she told me that I was going to be her mentor in that line, in a way that I could not take offense from and could actually be kind of honored. But it just the exuberance and that sort of positive intentionality that Reverend Christina has brought has just been an amazing gift to me personally and to the whole ministry I know. So what I'd like to do as we prepare to sort of think about this time, bringing a sense of closure to her time with us as an associate minister, is to invite you all to start thinking about the experiences that you may have had with Reverend Christina. Maybe there's a particular insight that you remember that was really transformative for your life. Maybe you were in a class or a workshop with her and you had some kind of insight, or you just really appreciate something about the energy she brought. And by the way, you guys on Zoom, am I in this camera? No, I'm on this camera. I'm on this camera. Y'all on Zoom, I want you to participate in this too. So whoever's watching the Zoom stream feed, as we move through this process, I want you to sort of call out and give voice to what's happening on the Zoom feed. I don't know who that is. Is that Martin? Is that you? Whoever's watching Zoom feed, I want the folks online to actually be able to speak into this energy that we're building. And then Christina, to make sure that she gets it, so she's not just kind of passively listening, to make sure she gets it, I'm going to make her transcribe everything that we come. So she'll get it in her heart, she'll get it in her mind, she'll get it at every level, and let's just see if we can't just fill her up with all of the gratitude and appreciation that we have experienced as a result of her time with us. So, again, Christina, if you would man the markers, and then I would invite those of you who are here in the sanctuary, those of you who are online, to just think back to your experiences, to what Reverend Christina, maybe wisdom that he shared, energy that she brings, events that you were involved with as a part of your experience with her here and hers with us. And just begin to call those out. So those of you who are online, we don't have mics, so I'll repeat those so the Zoom folks can hear. Beautifully dressed. Powerful. Oh, colorful. Colorful and beautifully dressed. That's why I wore this shirt today, in honor of Christina. I'm sorry, Vicki, what was that? Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead. We've done that. We did it all 3 years you were here, I think. We started at the beginning, and yeah, I thought about having you bring all your decorations and doing a kind of Day of the Dead altar at the front, but just didn't get to it. But it's here in spirit, all that beautiful stuff. Any online? Yeah. Embody the Divine Feminine. For those of you who don't remember, Divine Feminine was a beautiful kind of book study group that's turned into a really powerful community of mostly women sharing. I know it's not all women, but mostly women really sharing at a deep level. Diane? Healer. Did you get that? Beautiful in spirit as well as in physicality. Yeah. Terry. Persuasive. Persuasive. Glorious singer. Martin, anything coming up online in the chat stream? Sharon. Christina affirms it and it happens. Live in her faith, walk in the talk. That's our 5th principle. Right? She does it. She doesn't just talk about it. She actually lives her life in accordance with those. All right. right, and from the chat feed, got a few here. Love the Day of the Dead altar. Kind of talked about that one, but yes. Jean Scott just says radiant. One word, radiant. Yvonne says, loved all her talks. Jean Scott says, talks on the metaphysical. Deb Brown out in California says, love her energy. Yep, you can feel it. Even on Zoom, you can feel that exuberance in a beautiful way. And wonderful sermons from Valerie Brown. History is interesting, makes history interesting. Kate Jordan said, she lives God loud, all caps, exclamation point. Lives God loud. That's from Kate. Ooh, and Sasha F. This one, wow. Multi-dimensional being with profound insights and pride in her culture and native language, which I appreciate so dearly. Yeah. Profound insights, pride in culture. Yes, yes, yes. So heartfelt. So heartfelt. Connie says, love her exuberance and zeal, both here at UNS and also when she came to Unity in Chicago. I want to throw that in. You have done just a beautiful job of weaving together the Unity communities in the area. Reverend Christina has been serving on the Great Lakes Regional Board, and she's our connection. She's been speaking at Naperville and doing prayer services all over the Chicagoland and really bringing the ministers together in a beautiful way. Proud lesbian. Proud lesbian. Authentically shares, if I can go through this, so can you. That's from Megan Doran. Yeah, we got our Texas people, our California people, our Cleveland people. Lovingly transparent. Wisdom and exuberance. Beautiful ability to share. Guided by the heart. Yeah, I have to say, even in some of our board meetings, when me and many of the trustees, we'd get off on sort of the business admin kind of detail piece of it, Christina would always bring us back to heart. When that happened, she was sort of our keeper of the heart. Make sure that space is part of how we're together always. Awesome teacher from Annie Mitchell. Loving, caring, intelligent, and very creative. I should look at my live stream people. Am I like standing in a place that blocks? Are we okay getting the scribing and the... Okay. Love how she carries the Spirit in her voice. Did I hear that right? Can't believe nobody mentioned the heels. All right, that's great. Here, let's give you another rose. What was that when I missed that? She is. Best shoes ever and is. All right, yes, if you want to sit down and just immerse yourself. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate that. So what I'd like you to do is sort of take all that in. If you had been, maybe if you were in a very kind of personal connection with Reverend Christina, one-on-one counseling, if you were involved in classes, or even if you were just here or online and hearing her speak, just move into a space of really appreciating the energy that she brought, that she has demonstrated, that we know will always be a part of who we are, right? And see if in that, there's also, in this space of bringing closure to necessary endings, it's never just like one thing. It's never like, I am totally grateful and happy about this. There are usually other shades of emotion that we bring into it. And so in the same way that we're talking about sort of there is wholeness in recognizing beginnings and endings, there is wholeness in recognizing all that we're grateful for. But even as we're listing this, stay kind of in touch with the parts of it that we're going to missing. Christina's physical presence is not going to be with us as she moves into her next experience. And that usually brings up a little bit of there's a mixed emotional experience in there. And what I would suggest is that as we move through these endings in our lives, we are powerful enough to hold space for both of those energies. And it's in holding space for both of those energies that we're actually able to integrate them, so that we can move through that experience with a whole lot less resistance, a whole lot less of pushing back, and this ought to be different, and a whole lot more receptivity and acceptance of, oh my goodness, there is something coming next. Because that's the truth of every ending. There is something coming next. And how we hold that, those weird mixes of energies, how we hold that really determines what possibilities are going to be accessible to us as we move forward, right? So the next piece that Dr. Cloud talks about, once we sort of are maximizing what we can do in the midst of the current experience, the next piece is to make sure that as we are letting go, that we're courageously stepping forward with the actions that are going to bring about that shift, that transition. Yeah? I don't really have any more to say about that other than to look at how you are demonstrating that, There's one of the things a couple of things that I would like to just mention as we start to enfold Reverend Christina in these sort of waves of gratitude for her time with us, is just to recognize that what she brought was that energy of possibility. The board, when we decided to keep Reverend Christina on after the mentorship thing was ending, right? We added associate minister to the congregation. The board knew that we were stepping way out on a limb. For the size of our congregation, most churches would not have an associate minister. But what we also recognize is it was an investment in creating new ways of showing up in ministry. Right? And Reverend Christina has brought that over and over and over again. As you think back through some of the initiatives that she has led that have allowed us to start to shake it up so that when COVID hit, we were able to sort of pivot in ways that were a whole lot more flexible than I think we would have been without her energies as a part of that. Right? So even though the board, and we had a plan for how we thought that was going to look, Reverend Christina she comes out of a fundraising background, so we'll put fundraising in Reverend Christina's plate. And she'll raise enough money to be able to sustain that position. That was sort of part of the business model that was happening. And as we know, COVID hit and everything changed. But what's interesting to me is even though that fundraising part of how we imagined it was going to be happening didn't come through, what did come through was relief from the federal government. So that position was staffed for a couple of years, even though it wasn't in the way we expected it was going to be. We were open enough and flexible enough to recognize that, and see, this is where I think Christina's affirmations come true. We knew that there would be a way for us to be able to continue to really engage with Reverend Christina in ways that would bring about some powerful possibilities for change and difference. And if you look around this ministry, we've had some success with doing the virtual stuff, and we've got people around in the country. So the Sunday stuff, which we've kind of perpetuated, is there's some good energy there. But if you look around at where the new energy is happening in this ministry, It's pretty much in those areas where Reverend Christina got us started, right? Think about how many attended the Love and Liberation. It was right around Martin Luther King Jr. Day back in January. Yeah, Kristen was really, a bunch of people really active in making that happen. That was all new energy. And part of the thinking behind that was, if we're going to be doing fundraising, let's make sure that our fundraising is aligned with the work that we do in the world. Let's make sure that we're bringing in diverse singers who are part of this. Let's have people joining us from all over the country. There was like whole new sources of revenue. And while, that didn't meet the revenue objectives that we've had in the past for big fundraisers, it was the first year, and it's this beautiful seed that we now get to water. We've got a new model for how we can do things differently. And out of those kinds of events, there's a way in which, yes, we can have them raise funds and raise money, but there's a way, and I think it's even the more important objective, that we engage other people in the work of recognizing, in the case of Love and Liberation, that we all have a role in creating a world that works for all. That we all have a role in really appreciating different cultures from our own, right? We're doing the work as we're sort of attracting the flow of abundance into our prosperity. Christina's initiated that. The same thing happened, remember we were in conversation with a different way of doing ministry with the Unity of Oak Park. Ultimately, that plan, Oak Park decided to go with the more mainstream traditional model, and they've hired a full-time minister there. But in the conversations, there were just incredible light bulbs going on in board and leadership about, wow, there are other possibilities for how we can share resources in ministry. And that will continue to be a dynamic that we're looking at, especially as we move out into, sort of post-COVID and what that means. So beautiful ways in which Christina's energy has sort of sparked. There are these beautiful sparks around the ministry where there's wonderful energy and activity that we will continue to engage. And that's the piece that I am most grateful for, right? That your energy lives on through the possibilities that you have planted here. And I know there'll be more. So with that, I'd like to invite, Sharon, would you come forward? And Kristen, both of whom have been working very closely with Reverend Christina on a whole lot of projects, but they've also kind of headed up the celebration for today. Got a couple of cards. Going to give her a bunch of flowers too?
We are.
Okay. Mike? Okay. That'll work.
Good morning, everyone. So yes, we've all had an experience with Christina. We have had many over and over again. I can't believe it's been almost 3 years. And yet it is a new beginning that we celebrate. And these gifts, which will keep coming in, celebrate you and Vera starting your new life in Nashville. And with that, we just wish you the love and the joy and the wisdom of that new beginning that you've enabled us to have in this congregation. So thank you. And we love you and we'll miss you.
I know it wasn't an easy decision for you and Vero to take this new beginning, this opportunity. And what I am inspired about you is that you really listen to God's call to you and the call to go south and to make a difference, especially for our LGBTQIA community in the South. And I just know by the demonstration of being a proud and loving couple, you're just gonna probably change the whole South, and we're gonna be so excited to see it happen. So as sad as I know many of us are, it's gonna be a great beginning and a great place for you, and hope to keep collaborating on all these fun events together. So all the best.
Thank you, Kristen. So as a goodbye, most of you know that we had invited you all to give, if you felt, sort of a gift for Christina and Vero as they begin their next chapter off in Tennessee. To date, we have raised $800. We're going to leave that open for a little longer in case you didn't have an opportunity to give. There'll be a basket in the back. Just be sure to note on the gift that it's designated for Reverend Christina's goodbye. The link is still up on the website if you're on Zoom and want to donate to that. And I think what we're doing is once we get all the funds together, we're going to buy a Target gift card. Everybody knows you got to have Target if you're moving to a new place. They're just going to be, I don't know, shower curtains and all kinds of stuff that need to be sort of put in place to make it a comfortable home. So with that, Reverend Christina, is there anything that you wanted to say at this point?
Whew. I'm going to try to keep it together and not be a blubbering person here. All I can say is the person that stands before you is the person because of each and every one of you. Oftentimes we're put into situations and communities where we know who we are, we know what we want to be, we know what God is calling us to do, but our surroundings keep us down, our surroundings keep us in boundaries, people keep us in old thoughts, we keep ourselves in chains. And I came to this community that is so open. There is a reason why there's a hashtag that we go by, risk takers. Deepest truth is the other one, because this community truly lives those principles. They're not just hollow words. And so I was brought here, again, as Reverend Kurt said, with absolute faith. It seemed insane to bring another person on staff and to figure out how that person would to be paid. But I knew when that offer came, I knew this was home for me, because this is a group of people that truly understands affirmative living, that truly understands the power of prayer and lives it and breathes it every day. I've been so blessed to have been part of that energy, to have been received and to be received with open arms and to be reminded of who I am, of who I have come here to be, and the possibility that exists when a group of people comes together in love and support of each other. I am forever, forever changed by all of you. I want to especially thank this man right here, who has been a mentor and a friend to me. He is the most extraordinary human being. This man really is living truth. I have worked with him, and I've never seen him engage me with ego. I've never seen him engage me with any kind of hurt or anger or any kind of emotion. We've always been able to work together, and though there have been some prickly times perhaps, your consistency in being a man of God has come through over and over and over again. Yes.
How did you do that? You just flipped it, honey. No,
We're
thank you.
one,
Still
right?
teaching
We're
me to
one.
receive. Yes,
We're
yes.
one.
Thank you.
And again, I had a crazy idea. He's like, sounds good. Let's do this. Okay. If something happened and he knew that I was part of the leadership, he'd say, no, you take credit. You stand up. Let me tell you, that doesn't happen, especially, sadly, in ministry, and especially with women. So I thank this man for not being just a man of God, but also a presence of the divine feminine, whether he realizes it or not. So thank you to each and every one of you, the board, the staff, the ridiculously amazing prayer chaplain team, Olga and Tom. I would be here all day if I named each and every one of you, but no, you each have just made a mark on my heart and soul, and I carry you with me to Nashville and beyond. Thank you.
Okay, so she's still on the payroll. So we've asked her to do one more thing on the platform. She, along with Felina, are going to prepare us for a time of meditation by softly singing together. Well, you can sing at any volume you want. We'll do meditation after, however it is that you express it. This is one of Christina's favorite songs by Faith Rivera.
Where I am, God is, and where I stand, God is standing strong. Where I breathe, God is breathing life in and out and through me, as me, where I sing, God is, and where I dance, joy lifts my feet. Where I live, where I live, beauty's flowing free, in and out and through me, as me.
So as we move into meditation, I just want to, just for a moment, just a little bit of backstory there. So Felina asked if Christina had a favorite song that she could sing. And so I asked Christina what would be a song that she would like to hear on her last Sunday. And then I tricked her and said, why don't you sing it? And she had a little bit of reluctance. I mean, you don't know it to hear her voice, right? You don't know that that was a big risk for her. But it was, and she stepped up to it. And it's exactly the kind of dynamic that I know is going to bring her great success. It's exactly the kind of dynamic that has allowed us to see the incredible growth in her spirit, in her leadership, and in her development as a spiritual being who is fully empowered to live out her deepest truth. So appreciate that. And now, so just tune into that same vibe because you have it within you as well. You have the capacity and the ability to know what's yours to do. You have the capacity and the ability to look beyond whatever the perceived obstacles might be and to see that beyond any endings of this life experience, that there is always a new beginning. And so whether you are right now in the midst of something ending in your life, or whether or not you can look back across your life and find instances of endings, I would invite you to just be present to that reality. And to hold a space within that presence that you can also experience or see from anew, that each of those endings that you've experienced in your life marked a new beginning as well. You may not have recognized it at the time. It may not have been comfortable at the time. But by standing in the truth of this kind of oneness, that where there are endings, there are new beginnings. Where there is old, there is new. Where there are missteps, there are corrections. And it's in that wholeness that we actually become more powerful, more capable of standing in the light of truth and being that light in demonstration. So as we move into just a moment of silent reflection, I would invite you to just imagine yourself as a superhero even. Like, just see yourself standing strong, solid in what goes next. And as long as you're imagining that, imagine Reverend Christina standing right beside you. As coach, as cheerleader, as mentor, as wise counselor. And gently, I invite you to return your attention to this time and space. Maybe even return your attention to the memory of all of the stuff that Christina was scribing about what we appreciate about her. And cultivate this beautiful energy of light, of gratitude and appreciation. And just send it in a great big ball of light and energy up to enfold Christina right here and now. We're so grateful for this collective light, for the opportunity that we've had to experience it together, and for the possibilities that will emerge as we move forward. So it is, and so we let it be. Amen. So this is the time in our service when we receive tithes and offerings. Most of you know Unity on the North Shore is a tithing ministry, which means that we circulate the good that comes to us in the form of undesignated financial gifts. We circulate 10% of those out to organizations and individuals who also feed our spirits. So we practice what we preach. I mentioned this one before, but it's sort of coming back around, so I'll mention it one more time. One of the gifts that we gave most recently was to a small film production company that's creating a film about Hecky Powell's life. It's called If a Town Had a King. They'll be starting production on that not too far from now, and just know that we as a ministry donated $1,500 toward the budget to create that film. There are big plans for it to be released by, what are the public television station in Chicago? I think there's a connection there happening, and WTT something. WTTW, right. And there would be versions of it that would be made available in high schools, and so all of that is sort of to help just take the wonderful message of, and actually, if any of you have pictures at home of Heki involved in activities here, they're very interested in using those. They're going to have stills in the film too. So materials continue to give back, and beautiful ways in which we see abundance expressing in the world that we know comes back to bless us as well. So let's take a moment and just in that same kind of appreciative energy, energy of gratitude, speak together our offertory prayer. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And I did realize I skipped over the how to give. For those of you who are online, we'll put that slide back up. For those of you here in the sanctuary, the ushers are not receiving offerings. There's a bowl in the back where you can leave your offerings safely. And just know that the energy with which we give is the energy that we continue to create this beautiful ministry where we can support one another in taking risks and living into deepest truth. So it is, and so we let it be. Amen.
There is more than enough in the universe that you created. There is more than enough on a planet of sacred design. There is more than enough for humanity made in your image. Why would I worry? Why would I doubt? Why would I ever think I go without? Why would I worry? Why would I doubt? Why would I ever think I go without? Your infinite love made me, made everything I see, and all that I will ever be is your infinite love. Let the world know the truth, whatever I choose to do, your infinite love will prove more than enough, more than enough, more than enough.
Thank you, Felina. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, live stream team, and thanks to all of you. Whether you're here in person or joining us online, virtually, your presence and participation have blessed us greatly. We truly appreciate that you chose to join us. Before we go, we just have a few announcements. The Garden Chat online is on Mondays at 5 o'clock. The host, Sharon Myers, will share a recipe and lead a brief discussion on today's Sunday service. So register to receive the Zoom link. And there's so many beautiful stories we'll share during our Celebrating Words of Wisdom event. And Sharon is offering another micro-memoir basic workshop on Tuesday, September 14 and 21. From 5 to 6:30 via Zoom. I've taken it, and it was a lot of fun, and even wrote a story. So if you have been thinking about writing your life story, but can't quite get your words on paper because it seems to be such a project, this class will offer a new and easy approach. It was really actually very easy to do. The micro-memoir. In 2 class sessions, you will learn to write up your own life experience as a 600 to 700 word story. And it will be professionally edited by Sharon as a finished piece for a real result that you can keep, share, or even publish. There is a fee of $60 for a 2-session course, including a class packet and professionally edited micro-memoir. This class is open to all with an interest in writing their own story in their own words. No writing background or pre-class work is required. Next, please join us for the Sacred Listening Circle coming up on September 19. Unity on the North Shore is experiencing a period of transition and change. In the midst of a global pandemic, climate change, and social justice issue, we ourselves are considering the sale of our building and moving to a new spiritual home. While change and anxiety are a natural part of our life experience, it's how we navigate and adapt to change that will determine our new future. Please join Reverend Greg Coles, our Great Lakes Regional Representative, in a sacred time of holding space to presence and give voice to the feelings that change is bringing up for our spiritual community. Each person will be invited to share from their heart about the changes they're experiencing or would like to see for UNS. All of you are encouraged to attend, share, and participate. We'll provide a light lunch for those at Unity and North Shore that are staying for the event, or you can bring your own lunch. And for those of you who prefer meeting from the comfort and safety of your home, or those who are not available on the 19th, please plan to attend a virtual session, also facilitated by Reverend Greg. He will host that on Zoom, Wednesday, September 29 at 5:30 p.m. Register for either in-person or Zoom listening circles on the homepage on our www.unityns.org. Last but not least, we'll see you on the patio for our fiesta farewell for Reverend Christina after the service. That's it for all the announcements, and as you can see, there are lots of happenings over the next couple of months. So the best way to stay connected is to subscribe to our weekly e-blast. If you are not already receiving them, subscribe now using the link in our chat stream. And now, Felina and Dennis will lead us in the peace song, followed by Tom with our chaplain for the prayer for protection.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be our joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Now let us join together in saying the prayer of protection. The words are on the screen. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is. I am divine. Happy Sunday, everyone, and join us on the patio for a wonderful, there's great treats out there.